Do you have a safe word when engaging in hardcore bondage?
It's Mutara Nebula.
Interesting. Mine is Trivago.
Oh, good. I like that guy. Yeah, I can see why that would just shut things down right away. Yeah.
So one of the things, okay, so with Star Trek, to keep in that vein, you have, a lot of people talk about the sort of idealistic future of Star Trek, and that's why it resonated with people.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we're kind of in this weird time now where back in the day you'd watch things like Star Trek or Back to the Future, and people would say, they're looking forward to hoverboards and this and that, and the future's going to be so cool. You're going to take a pill and you'll be full and yada, yada, yada. And now we live in this time where technology progresses, and now everyone seems sort of upset about it. Like, oh, technology's taking us over.
Yeah.
We're going to have self-driving cars, and everybody's addicted to their phones and yada, yada. And I was at a meeting at my work again that will give no details. But we are heavily involved in technology. And one of the high-up people in the company was having a meeting with us. And even she, who's British, now you'll know what I'm talking about, she was sort of talking about how technology was not good. And I thought it was weird, seeing as how that's sort of the basis for the company. And everyone kind of agreed. And I feel like it's sort of an easy stance to take. And the stance everybody takes now is like, oh, people don't know how to socialize with each other. Everyone's addicted to their phone. People want instant gratification. And like everything's terrible because we have phones and technology. I even had, I was having drinks with our friend, our mutual friend Ross.
Yeah, right.
Calling it an addiction and a poison. And I see what everybody's saying, but I feel like that is a very short-sighted way to look at it, because I think, Star Trek and all these things, the progression of technology to me is good in so many more ways than it's bad. And I think the ways that people talk about it being bad really just have to do with human behavior and human nature, which I think don't change. So one of the examples they're talking about is like, oh, people don't listen to each other talk because they're busy looking at their phone. Now technology's got us being antisocial. And I told Ross, we're sitting here having drinks right now. I'm really interested in the conversation we're having. I'm not looking at my phone.
Yeah.
If I weren't interested in the conversation we were having, I probably would look at my phone. So what's the issue really? Really, it's about what you're interested in and who you are. When I was in school as a kid and the teacher was talking, I drew pictures and I didn't listen. Then I got a calculator. I played calculator games and I didn't listen. Then I got a phone. It has nothing to do with take the phones out of everybody's hands. They'll use something else. You can find old pictures of people on the subway train in the 1920s, and they're all just reading the newspaper.
I love that picture. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So technology does such amazing. Like my mom is disabled. She can communicate with us in ways that she couldn't before. I mean, look at medical, the field and the advancements there. People complain about kids playing online video games and not like going outside and playing. But the thing is, would he? If you took his computer away, would he? No, he'd probably, like in the 50s, that kid would sit and read comics alone in his house and have no friends. Now he can go online and play games and make online friends and feel better in his way. I had a friend, he never dated. He was too nervous. He gets the online dating. Now he's dating all the time. So I think we've invented things that help people who weren't fitting in with the current society. They certainly have their cons, but I think it's sort of short-sighted. Like, well, everything's screwed up now because we made all this technology.
No, look,
I know that was a long. What is your opinion on that matter?
You're preaching to the choir because, look, there are ways to be a functional, decent, social human being that have nothing to do with the technology in front of you, and there are ways to be a horrible, amoral, antisocial human being that has nothing to do with the technology in front of you. Technology is a tool. And again, this is one of the things that I go back to on Mission Log that comes up from time to time in Star Trek, which is what is our relationship to technology and who are we as human beings in relationship to our technology. I remember I was waiting in line. This was years ago. I was in line at like Coffee Bean or something. And I was...
We got to edit that out or we're going to get sued.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah. So I believe I was texting or I was having a Facebook conversation or something with my grandmother, who recently passed away. But she...
Shout out to the GMA.
Yeah, right. So here I am living in L.A. Here she is living in rural Georgia, like literally a town with one traffic light, right?
Yeah.
And I missed my place in line, and the woman behind me had to point out, like, oh, it's your turn, But that she had some snarky comment about me being on my phone.
Yes, this is perfect.
And here's the thing. And I stopped and I said, hey, I get to have a conversation in the middle of the day with my grandmother, who at the time was like 90 years old or something, living in rural Georgia, instantly back and forth because of this little thing in my hand. I'm having a life right now. I'm socializing with somebody that I care about right now, and she's socializing with somebody that she cares about right now. And I don't have to like go find a quiet corner and get into a long conversation, voice conversation, because the dynamic is very different when you do that. Yeah. That's kind of a miracle, and we should embrace that. Now, obviously, we have to change certain rules when we get there. I overheard a friend say this one time, and now I use it very often. There's a big group of us sitting down at a table for dinner, and he said something like, and now we're all going to pretend like it's the 1950s and not get our phones out. And I was like, yeah, that's great. That's great. And I've used that line myself, because you do have to remind yourself every now and then. It's not that interacting with a phone is a bad thing. It's not that communicating in a different way is a bad thing. I think the danger comes where you can sort of fill this immediate need for stimulation and get exactly what you want when you want it. There's that problem with sort of the echo chamber. I hate it that when I log into Facebook, I'm only going to see stories that I like, that are from people that I agree with. It's a problem, so I know that I need to also seek out things that I disagree with and try to understand those arguments.
I'm lucky in that department because I'm from the South.
As am I.
Well, you are too, right?
Yeah.
So, and then I moved to New York and then to LA, so I can get a nice 50-50 of what people are thinking, until I got to the point where I turned all of them off.
Right. Right.
And just listen to George Harrison.
Yeah, there you go. So I mean, we have to be aware of it, but I don't think we have to hate it by any means. We should embrace the tools that we have. How lucky we are to be able to have instant communication, that I could go to my phone and just immediately text 5 different people. Hey, what are you doing tonight? Oh, cool. Well, we could go do something. We could get together. That is being social. That is having a life.
Well, there's a weird misconception that every generation has. And it's funny because I'm, I guess, technically a millennial or whatever. I hate to use all those terms. But I think, we're always like, hey, we're always going to be cool and young and hip forever and always be edgy. And now I'm watching the people my age be like, man, technology's a drug or whatever. Right. And it's like, this is like when kids in the 60s listened to the Ramones and their parents were like, turn off this devil music. It's like now we're the same way about apps that kids use today. And every generation thinks the next generation sucks or whatever, right? Yeah. That's kind of how it goes. So to me, it's like there's this weird misconception that we have that there was a benefit to certain things. So they're like, oh, now you can look on your cell phone. But before, when you sat on the subway train, the person next to you might strike up a conversation. And it's like, okay, yeah, but how many times was that worthwhile or great?
Right.
Like, how many times in my life have I been sitting in the doctor's office and somebody just starts making really idle chit-chat? I'd rather die than engage with them. But you do it to be polite or whatever. It's like I didn't walk away from that with this whole new perspective on life. It's like sometimes those are good, sometimes they're bad. I don't know why we have to decide that that's better. And one of the biggest things Ross was talking about the instant gratification thing, and I was like, I just think everything's better. And he's like, how? How do you think everything's better? I'm like, well, now let's say I want something from Target. I could drive down to Target, look around and around. They're sold out. Well, that was a waste. Now I can go on Target.com, see, they've got it, set it aside, go get it. How's that not better? What's the life lesson I'm learning by driving down there and them not having it? I don't see why that's preferential. But one of the biggest ones I think is with online dating. Is people have this thing where they're like, oh, dating's so tough now because there's so many options out there. Right. And it's like, well, yeah, that's the good thing. Like people, and this sort of ties back to religion as well, which is people, depending on your human nature, some people like open-ended possibilities and things like that. And some people like a very finite structure where they don't have to think too much. So like religion provides a clear set of rules and goals and purpose. And that people like that. Whereas if you take it away, it's like, well, you can do anything. So it's the same thing with dating apps. Before it was like, oh, there's a girl who lives next door to my farm. She's the only one in the area. So I marry her. Don't have to think about it. Yeah. Now you can go on an app and it's up to you to find your perfect match or whatever. You have a chance to find a better connection. People are like, oh, this is so stressful. Well, shouldn't you view it as like this great opportunity now? Like you don't have to just marry the person next door, but that causes some people stress. And I told Ross, you know, like my father left my family when I was 9 because he met a woman online. So online dating destroyed my family, and here I am in the tank for it. You know, like if anybody should be against it,